lesson we're going to learn some chords that are pretty cool, as well as, you know, really important chords for probably some of your favorite songs you want to learn. We're going to learn power chords as well as bar chords. Now, these chords aren't as different from each other as you think. Now, the characteristic that keeps them, you know, the same is that you can take a shape, right? You know how E minor, like all the open chords, you have a shape and then you have to change it and you have to keep changing them depending on what chord you're going to. With power chords, you actually have the same shape all over the neck, as well as bar chords. So you can start sliding them, right? As long as you got the shape, you can start sliding them around, right? Same with the bar chords. The one only nice thing about bar chords, because they're pretty tough. So let's get started. Let's get started with maybe the power chords first. Now, power chords, you're going to be playing them in some of your favorite rock tunes, like old rock tunes, as well as sort of more current stuff. So any, you know, sort of heavy rock tune or, you know, metal or punk or anything like that usually have power chords, right? Now, the power chord is going to be the same shape if we're starting it on the 6th string and the 5th string. All right? Now, there's two different types of power chords basically, right? The power chord has sort of evolved over the years, right? There's the 2-finger power chord if you're playing, you know, Sabbath or Zeppelin or something like that. They're usually only using a 2-finger power chord, whereas the more modern version is 3-finger power chord, and we're going to talk about that one. All right? So let's get started. We'll try it starting on the 6th string, right? What you're going to do is take your first finger and let's put it on the 2nd fret of the 6th string, okay? So we're going to put that there. Now, I'm going to always skip a fret. The most important characteristic of a power chord, there's going to be a fret in between the fingers, right? The 3rd finger now is going to go this next string over to the 5th string on the 4th fret. So again, you see this fret in here, the 3rd fret that has no fingers on it. This is probably the hardest part, is this stretch and making sure that you continue to keep this stretch. The most important thing that you do here is you have the proper hand shape. If you have your thumb up too high, you're not going to be able to get that stretch in between the 1st and 3rd finger. Now I'm going to take my pinky here and I'm going to put it behind on the 4th string, on the same fret, 4th fret, right? And then what I'm going to do is give it a strum, just those 3 strings. Okay? Eventually what you can do is you can start muting these strings with your 1st finger, which means just touch them lightly so that you don't hear them and you can strum everything. But for now, let's just strum those 3 strings. Now, like I mentioned, I can move that all around the neck. Say I want to move that up to the 3rd fret, I move it all up 1 fret. To the 4th fret, 5th fret, and so on, right? I can just keep going. So the most important thing is keep that hand tight so that you can move the shape rather than always having to reshape it as soon as you get to your spot, right? Okay, now if we move this onto the 5th string, let's go back to that very first power chord, right? Now if I move it down a string, you see I'm going to move it all down a string. 5, 4, and 3. So now I'm not on the 6th string, and I'm not on the 1st and 2nd string as well, right? So I'm going to play strings 5, 4, and 3. All right? Again, the same shape. There's still that break in here, right? There's still that, there's nothing on that 3rd fret. And if I move that around, I can put it anywhere, right? Okay, so those are power chords. Now, the one thing that's you might want to keep in mind here is figuring out what to call these power chords, right? Because sometimes you won't see it in the tab. Sometimes you'll just see it as a name, right? The way that you know it's a power chord is if it has a 5 after a letter. So say it said A5. We know it's a power chord. How do we figure out where the A is, right? I'm going to assume you kind of know how to read the notes on the neck. And if you don't, you can check the web page for some material to figure out how to read the notes on the neck. Now, we're going to start on the 6th string. Let's find an A, okay? So this is an E, then an F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. So my first finger is going to go on an A, and then the 5 represents a power chord. So I put that down, and then I have the A5 power chord. Okay? Now, again, if we tried another one, let's try one on the 5th string. We want to find now a D5. Okay? So A is the open string, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. Put the rest of the power chord down, strum just those 3 strings, and there's our D5. Okay? Now, earlier, remember I was telling you that there are some similarities in between the bar chords and the power chords, right? So the one similarity is that the beginning of the bar chord is always the power chord, right? So if I do, say, just this bar chord, you see if I take the first 3 notes, it's just a power chord. If I do this bar chord, the first 3 notes are still a power chord, right? Okay? Now, so for the bar chords, we're going to have major and minor bar chords. We're going to have a shape for the 6th string for major and minor, and a shape for the 5th string, major and minor. Let's get started maybe with the 6th string major. But before we do, maybe I'll just give you an idea of what songs sort of have bar chords in it, right? If you take like a writer like Jack Johnson, bar chord, right? All bar chords. Okay, but like I was saying, let's go back to the 6th string major bar chord. Okay, so like I said, just now let's go to the 2nd fret of the 6th string, and like I said, let's first place the power chord down, right? We already know how to do that. Now, the whole reason why it's called a bar chord is because you're actually going to be barring all the strings. So you see I have my first finger here. Rather than not touching the strings, I'm going to push really hard on all those strings. Now, you don't want to come straight like this with your bar. What you want to do is sort of roll backwards so that you're using this part of your finger rather than this part of your finger. So I'm going to roll backwards, have my power chord, and as you can see there, I have my middle finger on the 3rd string, 3rd fret. I'm going to strum them all, and that now is a major bar chord on the 6th string. It happens to be F sharp major because it's starting on an F sharp. E, F, F sharp. If I continue to move it up, the only thing that's going to change is the letter. And from F sharp, I'm going to go to G major. Now G sharp major. A major. And you see that this A major is actually going to sound the same as our A major open chord. Alright, so I'm able to move that major shape all over the neck. Now, if we go into a minor chord, it's going to be pretty much the exact same, but like the open chords, there's one note changing. So let's go back to that F sharp major bar chord. Now, if I lift up my middle finger, and so the 3rd string is actually now going to hear that bar that's nicely rolled backwards, remember, right? That's now an F sharp minor. So the difference, F sharp major, F sharp minor. And I can move that all over the neck too. A minor because I'm starting on an A. B minor because I'm starting on a B, right? Okay, so those are the 2 shapes on the 6th string for the bar chord. Now, I'm going to try now a bar chord on the 5th string. This is going to mean that we're not strumming the 6th string at all. Now, since the major is a really hard one, let's do a minor one first, okay? So let's go to the 2nd fret of the 5th string. We're going to put our bar down like always, and then put our power chord down, which we've already learned, right? And if we put our middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, that's our minor shape now. That's going to be a B minor because we have A sharp, and B. B minor, not strumming the 6th string. As you can see, this shape kind of looks like the major shape on the 6th string, but this is going to be minor instead. If I continue to move this up, B minor, C minor, C sharp minor, D minor, D sharp minor, E minor, and so on, right? Now, the major shape is really difficult. There's 2 ways of doing it. There's one way that you'll see in pretty much all the books, and then there's sort of the practical way. So let's learn the one that you'll see in the books first, okay? It's like an A major shape. remember we learned that earlier, right? Now, if you move that up 2 frets, and then still get that bar down on the 2nd fret, that's our B major chord. You see, it's terrible because the stretch between 1st and 2nd finger is really difficult, right? But again, this is going to be the B major, the shape that you'll see in the majority of the books. And again, not strumming the 6th string. We can move this all over the place. But remember, always starting on the 5th string. Now, if we try the more practical way, this is the way that I use a little bit more. We don't even really need this bar down anymore. What we're doing is, where the fingers 2, 3, and 4 used to be, we're now barring that with the 3rd finger. And then what we do is get our 1st finger on the B, which is the root, the low note that we need, on the 5th string. So if I move this around, that's now my major shape on the 5th string. So again, if I review it, but again, you can rewind it if you need to and look at those charts, right? The chord charts. But let me review them. We have major on the 6th string, minor on the 6th string, major on the 5th string, minor on the 5th string. And remember that what names these chords is your root, the lowest note, wherever your 1st finger is, okay? So good luck with these. These are in a lot of songs. The more you learn songs, the more you're going to realize, oh, that's a power chord, that's a bar chord, right? So good luck with these. The bar chords, you're not going to get overnight, so don't worry about it. Don't get too impatient with it. It's going to take a while, but just stay persistent and you'll get it eventually, eh? All right, good luck.